Hey you guys, this is a video about boundaries. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. Boundaries are something that many of us never learned because it wasn't modeled to us. So I think that many people growing up saw boundaryless behavior by their parents. Boundaryless behavior being their parents just yelled at them, called them names, and thought that was okay. Hit their children, called them names, belittled them, never apologized if it was like a periodic, I lost my temper, I'm so sorry. That was just how they were raised. So it was modeled to them, this boundaryless, grandiose behavior. And then they go around as adults repeating the same pattern. So when they get angry, they feel entitled to just let you know. I don't think that they're always aware of it. They might just be like, you're just a, like me when I used to tell guys that they're losers. When I got really angry at some random person contacting me on my escort ad, being impolite, I would say, what a loser. That is the worst thing I could say to someone. I didn't go off and on in rage. I called them a loser. But that was not appropriate. That was me not having a containment boundary. So there are two kinds of boundaries. The containment boundary is me containing what comes out of me. I have to have a boundary about how I speak to people. So your parents who were going off on you had no boundaries. They were boundaryless. They didn't have a containment boundary. And neither did I, because I was just copying my dad. He would just get reactive and go off on people. Now, I know enough not to call people losers that I actually interact with. I saved this for guys I was never going to meet. Nonetheless, it is a violation of a containment boundary. All I had to do was just block and delete them if I didn't like how they talked to me. They were not people I even knew or ever met or would ever meet. To me, calling a guy a loser was like, that was just done. There's no recovering. In my opinion, there's no recovering from calling anyone a name. So I just want to own that I have done this as well. The protective boundary is around what comes in. I get to choose what I let in. And as children, we had no choice about what we let in. So our parents went off on us or whatever. This happened to a lot of you. And you had to build a protective wall, or somehow, since you admired your parents, you believed they were right, or you built a wall. There was some way that you adapted, or maybe you copied them, not even knowing. So for example, this video is inspired by someone who left kind of a nasty comment on my YouTube channel today, and I did block and delete him. But I think that this person probably experienced a boundaryless home environment, so he feels entitled to just vomit whatever his feelings are onto anyone he disagrees with. The idea kind of being, well, that's how I feel, and I have a right to express myself, and I don't like how you are, and I have a right to tell you, so probably modeling their parents. So if you're a person who does that, who feels like, I'm so angry and I have a right to let you know, I have to let you know, the way you can break that is to realize you're modeling probably your parent who was that way. Even a parent you didn't like or a parent you liked, you are just copying what you learned. And that is not healthy behavior. It's dysfunctional, actually. Because to be connected with people, we can't just go off on them. It breaks the connection. And in this case, I block people who talk to me that way. Like if someone's rude to me, I just block them. There is no connection possible when people just vomit whatever they want. It's like, you're going to have to find someone who's dysfunctional enough to think that they have to put up with it or take it or they deserve it or they like to engage with it. You're going to have to find those people, and they're out there, but it's not going to be me. The second boundary is the protective boundary. So we talked about the containment boundary, what comes out of me. The protective boundary is around what do I let in? And I decided, as I'm doing more work on myself, I don't have to let in just anyone who comes at me or talks to me. So some of the ways I have a protective boundary around my friends are, or people I engage with, is you can't go off on me or yell at me or put me down or argue with me. Now, I've been pretty good about that my whole life. I've been pretty good around that boundary. And that's why, except for my YouTube channel, I have often struggled with, well, people should be able to say what they want. If they're rude to me, should I allow it, And I decide I don't. That's going to be part of my boundary, is how people talk to me has to be respectful, using I statements and sharing how they feel rather than you. You're so bad, you're so wrong, you're so narcissistic, you're so controlling, whatever they think about me. I don't have to let that in. So when I see those comments, I just block and delete the person so they can no longer come on my channel. But I've done other things to protect myself, like in my escort ads. I don't have my phone number in there. I don't want to be contacted by so many people who are usually very rude. When they have access to a phone number, they can text. They're more polite over email. There's no way that men can slide into my DMs. I'm completely inaccessible to men, completely, except by email. The only way that men can contact me are by email. My clients have my phone number, that's it. My Facebook, nobody can friend me, except friends of friends, and 99% of my Facebook friends are women. I'm not on Instagram. On Twitter, nobody can DM me except people I follow. I follow only women. On YouTube, people can leave comments. I have my email address there. People can email me. I don't want to be contacted by men who are just wanting my body. That's what they want. When men contact me by texting or sliding into my DMs, they're wanting access, they're wanting sexual access to me. And I have a boundary around being sexually available to men that I don't know. Like, that does nothing for me. I don't need your validation, I also have a boundary around how people speak to me. However, there have been some areas in my life where my boundaries have been weak. Around my family, being there to support my family, being there for them. That's done. I'm not going to be there for you when you have never done any work on yourself and you're dysfunctional. I'm done with that. I'm not going to go into details with my family. They're not ragers, but they have other dysfunctional ways that are no longer okay with me. I have a boundary against people yelling at me, raging at me, and I did have a new friend last week that I had to uninvite from my birthday party because she was going off on me. The comments on YouTube and so on. So anyway, what I want to say, the reason my protective boundary was weak was because I modeled after my mother, who was boundaryless. So for years, my ex-husband was pretty good, but I was boundaryless around some of the ways he treated me. Okay, so I'm really working on my boundaries here. And I'm not perfect, but I'm learning and I'm practicing. That's the thing, I'm practicing. And practicing boundaries is difficult because, first of all, when it comes to the containment boundary, that's the hardest one, because when we get triggered, we want to do stuff like, react. We want to fight or flight or freeze or fawn. And those are all reactions. They're not healthy. So that one is really hard. That has to do with our reactivity, our containment boundary, what comes out of us. Even running away. Are you in a relationship with someone, when they want a discussion, you run away? I'm going to call that a boundary violation too, because how can I be relational when I'm running away? Or when I'm fawning over you, like, can I get you back? I can get you back. Please love me. Those are all violations. I'm not treating, what's coming out of me is not healthy, functional. It's coming from a reactive place. But also yelling at people, going off on people is not good. And that's what people often will do when they're reactive, especially in your intimate sexual relationship is where your patterns will come out the strongest, but they can come out in other relationships as well. For the protective boundary, that is more about what I will accept from you. And in my marriage, I accepted a lot of being ignored and dismissed, especially emotionally and sexually. I accepted that. So I take responsibility for that. But I don't accept that anymore. So I am taking a real big look at like a good containment boundary, a good protective boundary, because that's my responsibility, is to be a whole human being. So I can show up powerfully in my work and in my friendships and for myself. That I take responsibility what comes out of me and what I let into me. That is my primary responsibility in my life, is to take care of myself so I can be like a powerful human being interacting with other people. It isn't just for me, it's about who I'm being in the world. It's kind of like a forest. Like I think of society as a forest of trees, and each tree, the forest is only going to be as beautiful and as abundant as each of the trees. You know, and each of us is a tree. We are responsible for being a beautiful, strong, luscious, vibrant tree. And that's going to make a more beautiful forest. This isn't about, being dismissive of other people. This is to show up better for other people. And a tree that has, fungus growing on it, or it's not making sure it gets enough water, is not reaching for the sunlight, it's going to be weak and get sick. Like, it is not selfish of you to take care of yourself. That's what I want you to know. It is your primary duty to take care of yourself. And that means what comes out of you is healthy and loving, and what you let in is healthy and loving. And that's a practice. And it's going to feel uncomfortable when you first do it, because every new behavior is uncomfortable. I used to have like these self-love meetup groups here in my apartment, and I advertised them on meetup.com. And one of the exercises I would have the ladies do is practice saying no. And it was so freaking hard. And I would give them like a practice one, like, I would have people pair up, and I would say, ask the other person to do something for you, like give me $10,000, let me drive your car, and can we go to lunch? And the other person would have to say no. And the lady said it was so hard for them to say no, because they were so brainwashed that saying yes made them a better person, a more loving person. They didn't even always know if they were a yes. So it's like, okay, now you're going to actually answer in the way you want. I want you to tune into your body and feel if you're a yes and an or a no. Don't just go by, I'm a good person if I say yes. I should say yes. Jesus would say yes to everything. And I want to be loving like Jesus, or my parent, I have to be nice to this person because it's my family member, or I must be nice. And that's just thinking with your head. You got to tune into your body. For boundaries, you have to feel in your body if you're a yes or a no. And what's coming out of you. Am I calm when I'm speaking, or am I angry when I'm speaking, or shut down? So this is your responsibility and your duty. And I think that is the loving thing to do, because when we are acting from boundaries, we are protected and connected, and we are being loved. Now, for me, the practice is like, okay, still kind of figuring out, like, am I being walled off? Am I being connected? So it's a practice. It's just a practice. It's an ongoing practice, because we're human. And we have emotions, and we have reactivity, And it's a constant practice, and you will get better. You will get better as you practice. And I think just wanting to do this is like a very good, important start. A lot of people don't even want to do this. A lot of people feel like, I don't need any boundaries. I don't have to work on myself. Everything is their fault. If only this person would do this and only this person would do that. Hey, if I went around saying, if only I would have nice comments on my YouTube channel, I don't. I know that there are people who don't have a containment boundary, and I have a protective boundary, so we're good. Block and delete. Same with my friends. I meet new people all the time. Some can be friends and some can't. It's okay. Just have that boundary, and just remember that people are acting from what they learned. So people who are going off on you and violating your boundaries constantly, that's what they learned growing up. That's what they saw. That's what they were allowed to get away with. But you don't have to allow people that are acting from dysfunctional behaviors in your life. And I don't think that they're bad people. I think they're just people with dysfunctional behaviors that haven't learned any other way. They're just acting the way that they saw, that either they were treated, that they saw other people treat each other, or what they were allowed to get away with. So boundary violators, for example, if you are around people who are mean to you and don't care and hurt your feelings, either, someone hurt their feelings when they were little and didn't give a shit, or they saw their parents hurt each other's feelings, so they saw that was normal, or they saw their siblings being treated badly, that was normal, okay? That what they saw, what they experienced, what they saw, or what they were allowed to get away with, being they were allowed to just do whatever they wanted, or yell at their siblings, or yell at their parents, and the parents let them get away with it. So they grow up super entitled. That's why you have to teach your kids boundaries, you guys. You're not doing your kids any favors by always saying yes and letting them do whatever they want. You're not doing them any favors. You're raising people to be entitled, grandiose bullies then. So when people leave these mean comments on my YouTube channel, I know that they don't know any better, but that's not my problem. Block and delete, And if you have family members that you're distancing from, I know I felt that way, like, I can't stop talking to this person, then they'll be all alone, But that's not my responsibility. And sometimes people being all alone is what they need to learn, because sometimes our greatest teacher is our pain. Like for me, I want to improve myself because I know the joy that comes from doing it. Like, it just brings more joy into my life because I've done it enough times. But initially, a lot of the work I did on myself actually came from my pain. That's when I really started, when I was in a lot of pain. But for some people, even pain won't do it. They'll just look for another distraction. Oh, I'm in a lot of pain, I'll just start drinking, or I'll get a new relationship, or, I'll get a hobby, or I'll change jobs, or I'll just work harder. I'll just do this or do this, because they don't want to look at the source of their pain. So yeah, it's really, really important to be around people who have boundaries. That to me is really important, that people have boundaries. And that also means that when they're friends with me, that they're expressing themselves. They're telling me what they like or what they don't like. So if I might say, hey, let's go eat some Mexican food, and this person might say, well, I don't like Mexican food. What about, Thai food? And I'll be like, I like Thai food. Let's do that. But if someone's always people-pleasing me, then they don't have a good containment boundary either. They're boundary-less. So it's really, really great to be in friendships with people who are self-expressed, who have boundaries. And that doesn't mean we don't ever argue. We can still argue, but then we also know how to repair. Anyway, being human is not always the easiest experience. We're all here to learn, and I hope that I taught you something in this video with my beautiful lotus flower. I hope this can give you a happy smile on your face.